Hello, everyone. Welcome to Commander's Pod once again. I'm your pod father, Duncan.
I'm Sloan.
I'm Jeff.
And he's finally back, folks. We got him back. We had to tear him from hell by storming it ourselves. No, I don't know. He just showed up.
I was not in hell.
Whether you want him to or not, he's back.
Weren't you, though? For some of it, weren't you?
It felt like it, maybe?
Maybe. Anyway, so we got some stuff to talk about today. We're going to do a duck tech for one of our listeners. So it's on Zurgo Thunder's Decree.
Yes.
Yeah. So
New guy
from the Tarkir Dragonstorm set.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we didn't really have much choice in the matter. It was decreed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what were we going to do?
Mm-hmm.
I'm also going to talk about, I just got back from CommandFest Orlando. So
Very exciting.
just quick go over some stuff there.
Yeah.
And, Aggro Jeff might make an appearance, and maybe we'll have some tips for people. So, starting off, Aggro Jeff, what's aggravating you?
Okay. If you get on a plane and half the plane is empty and they don't tell you, so you sit down in your seat, you assume all the rest of the seats fill up, you just minding your own business, just doing your right thing as a passenger. And then at some point in the flight, you decide, I need to go to the bathroom. And you get up and you walk back and you realize all the seats behind you are empty. And so you simply move all your stuff. Could they not have told us that that was the case so we could have all been more comfortable? Ridiculous. That's crazy.
We knew it was going to be about travel.
Yeah.
We called that.
Right.
But who knew that it was going to be about he can't look around unless somebody tells him to.
Yeah. Once I sit down, my neck does not move.
Yeah.
I can only look one dimension,
Yes.
and it's this one right here.
Well, the other flights we had been on were full. And they said this flight was full. And it was like, no, not even close.
Well, you know what it is? If he turns any direction, he might have to look another human being in the eyes.
That's true.
It's probably what's disconcerting.
I'm glad you guys are enjoying this.
I mean, we've literally made it a game when you're not here to try to guess what you're going to be, what ridiculous thing you're going to
I will
aggro
say
about.
I had the absolute best espresso martini I've ever had in my entire life at the 73rd floor of our hotel in Atlanta, and the bar went around the building like this type of deal, like it moved.
Oh, okay.
And it was amazing.
Nice.
So that was great. But other than that, the rest of it was business, and
But
it was
here's the thing. Most people might be like,
challenging.
dude, it was awesome. I was on a plane. Half of it was empty. I got to sit wherever I want.
Yeah.
He complains because they didn't tell
Yeah,
him.
because half the time I didn't get to enjoy it because I couldn't turn my head.
Okay. Anyway, CommandFest Orlando. So I just got back. It was a great time. I do wish they had not done it on Easter weekend because I did not go Easter Sunday. I was spending the day with my family.
Clearly.
Yeah, that's wild. Why would they do that?
I don't know. I mean, when it's 4th of July, even that's pushing it.
Was
but,
it packed?
It was packed. I did not go Sunday,
That's
so I don't know.
Man,
Friday was
spend
busy.
time with your family, folks.
Friday seemed full
Right.
until you saw Saturday.
Yeah, and then
Oh.
Saturday.
And then
was like
Saturday, the
double.
command zone was gone.
Yeah.
Because they had so much stuff going on. It wasn't gone. You could still grab a looking for game placard and sit, but they were using so many tables. Where it had been yesterday, it was like a tenth of its size.
Yeah.
I suppose that's probably because they had the time off, so they could go. That's the advantage of doing it on a holiday
Yeah, I mean,
weekend.
a lot of people might have the time off. The other thing
Because
is
Good
too
Friday, a lot of times people have off.
Yeah. The other thing is too, there just might be a lot of people who don't celebrate that the same way other people do. So to them, going to a convention with their friends is spending quality time with people. So there's that too.
So I'm an accessories guy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You are our accessory.
So there was a table.
Yeah, I don't even bring stuff anymore.
My
I just show up
largest
with my
non-card
cards.
purchase was at this one table where this guy has a business that makes luxury tokens.
Luxury tokens.
Luxury tokens made out of metal. And so that's a food there. I'll put close-ups, but there's a food, there's treasure. On the back it has 5, or on the food it's 3.
Oh,
so that
yeah.
when you start counting them. So I got a bunch of those.
That is.
Can we show this?
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably gonna be too small. They're not gonna really be able to see it.
I'll show a picture.
But he
behind
can
it.
probably take a picture of it and upload
The
it behind
plus one counters are very small, and then on the back it's -1, -1.
It's not a
Oh, I
blood
like
pot.
that.
And they fit together.
Yeah, I like that though. It's
So I got a package where I got
these are weighted. These
Yeah.
are hefty, man.
Yeah, you
I
want to
got
bite that, see if it's real?
I got
Already got
food,
a
I
trick
got
tooth
treasures
coming
and
home.
clues. I got 2 of each.
Okay.
And then I got a set of 1+1+1 counters, and there's also a +5/+5 and a +10/+10 that comes with it.
Yeah.
And then I got mana tokens, like for counting your mana.
Okay. Yeah.
And they're like flowers. Again, I'll put them up here. I didn't bring them into the recording, but so this guy's booth was busy the entire time. I'm not getting paid. I did not get a discount, but I will say it's LuxPlay, LuxPlay.com.
Okay.
If anybody wants to check him out. Really cool. The only thing you cannot buy on his website are the rose gold,
Yeah.
which I only got one. I got some
Well, that
extra
one's real
treasure.
cool too, isn't it?
Yeah, I got one extra set of they come in sets of 2.
Yeah.
So I got one extra set of treasures, so I can have 4 treasures, and then you flip
You're
it
going to
over
have a
and
really
just-
hard time with the microphones with all that clanking.
Yeah, probably. I'll stop. But anyway, so that's the only thing you can't get on his website is the stuff in rose gold. Really high quality though, and the guy really, he's a cool guy. He was very nice to people, and he could tell he cares about what he does, and he wants a quality product, and it was really cool. But anyway, there was also this other booth. I don't know if people can see this, but he did altars, and it was all Dr. Seussian.
Yeah, like Dr. Seuss style. Yeah.
It was
that's
really
sick.
cool. So I got this shirt, but he had playmats and tokens and stuff. That was really cool. The artists. So just happenstance. So my new deck that I love, you guys probably know, is my Vinwixt, my draw deck that has no game changers in it, but can really go crazy.
Right.
Which if you play him, he'll say that at least 35 times.
That it has no game changers?
Yes.
Yes.
He'll
Well,
continue to point it out.
Because it's
Because
both-
what? Because you have no game changers.
Yeah, that's why. But anyway, well, why else would I say it?
I don't know.
I don't.
There could
Anyway.
be no other reason to say it.
But it just so happened that all of the artists there, except for one, cards in that deck that are very important in that deck, they made them.
Really?
Yeah. So.
So can you guess what
including-
this means? Hold on, Johnny. Guess what this means. He bought what?
A bunch of artist proofs.
Yes, I
That's
did.
right.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. Vinwixt has, including himself, the artist that did the full art was there, and including himself, I probably got 10 artist proofs in there now,
Jeez.
and there wasn't one to begin with.
Jeez.
I mean, Teferi's Ageless Insight, just anyway, a ton of them.
Yeah, it's
The
very
only
cool.
artist that didn't have that, Nana Key was her name, and the only she had only done secret layers. But
Okay.
she did the, and I didn't get anything from her because I spent so much on the other people. But she did the Cats and Dogs Arcane Signet.
Oh, I have that
Okay.
one.
Yep. She did the Dogs Arcane Signet. She did the Cat Soul Ring. She did a bunch of cards in that, and she did another couple secret layers. So it just didn't fit with what I was doing, so I didn't get anything from her. But
Right.
her booth was always busy too. It was really cool though. A lot of people there. A lot of people excited about. I mean, a lot of cool decks too.
Yeah.
The only one I'll point out, because this one was just very different. I can't remember the name of the commander, but the commander says, whenever a legendary creature you control is sacrificed, return it to the battlefield as a non-legendary 1/1 at the end of turn.
Oh, that's the zombie guy,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Okay. So what he did is, Nazgul say, when this creature enters, the ring tempts you, right?
Yeah.
So the ring tempts you means your ring bearer is legendary.
Right.
So the token that came back can become legendary, therefore can be sacrificed again, making another token, which can be made legendary. And so he could,
Yeah, he just kind of rinse and repeat.
very unique. I thought that was very cool.
Yeah,
His
that's
name
pretty
was Josh.
That's pretty cool.
Very cool deck.
And he won that game, right? You said?
He did not,
Oh.
because another guy was playing a deck that was just, it was pretty well tuned. Again, no game changers, but the machine started going, and it was like he had a 7/7 trampler, and when he swung, he could deal 7 damage, and it was just nobody had a chance.
Yeah, and a lot of times people overlook those old school, I'm just going to attack you with stuff decks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But both of those decks did some really cool stuff. So, but anyway, it was a great time. I highly recommend, if you have a local CommandFest, go to it at least once. You meet a lot of new people. You see a lot of cool decks. You see a lot of vendors that have stuff, and then of course you can buy a ton of stuff.
Did they use the new format, the new suggestions?
Brackets?
They did not. It's a beta, so it's not fine tuned. So they're not using it officially yet.
No, but did
it was
people
part
when
of
you
the
sat
conversation.
down? Okay, good. All right.
Most people though said they don't like the tiers the way that they're set up. They don't think it's fair because you can build a tier 1 that actually is very good, but it has
which is what we initially kind of talked about.
Or a tier 2 that's very good, that type of thing. Because technically my deck Vinwix would be considered a tier 2 if you go by all the rules.
Right.
But I tell people it's a high 3.
Yeah.
Well, because you understand that part of the rule for tier 2 was that it's not optimized, and yours is optimized.
Right.
So.
Yep. Well, it's not fully optimized. I mean, I'm sure you could find ways to optimize it, but yeah,
I mean, it's pretty optimized, I think.
Yeah, and
it doesn't
especially
have
as
game
now,
changers.
like I added Seagate restoration to it,
Yeah.
which is going to be gross the first time I do that. But anyway, it was a fun time, and I highly recommend it, and I'm looking forward to MagicCon Vegas come the end of June. That'll be fun too. So.
Man, I hope I can find a way to go to that.
Anyone that you bumped into that listened to the show?
2 people.
Getting out there.
Cool.
You get their names so we can shout them out?
Yes, it was Liz and Keith.
Liz and
All
Keith?
right, Liz and Keith.
Thank you.
Yep. Separately. They didn't listen together.
Nope, you're together now.
I feel like we were just on a pump you up type of thing.
Yeah,
We did
we're
at the
going
same
to
time.
bump
We'll
you up. That's too old, Jeff. Most people
There's
don't know
old
what
people that watch this like us.
I'm not even sure Sloan knows what that was. But anyway, so that was CommandFest. So the second week of the Commander Precon at our local shop.
Yes.
In the books. However, we weren't there.
Unfortunately, we were not there. I'm very sad, and I do have a little story about it. So the whole reason why I couldn't go was my sister was coming in town from Orlando with her boyfriend, and they were only available on Saturday to have Easter because they had to leave that night to go back because they both had to work Sunday. So all of the plans that we had set for Sunday, we had to redo and reschedule for Saturday. Guess what happened Saturday?
They canceled.
No. They got, so they say, food poisoning the night before from going out. They literally just slept. They came to my parents' house and went and just lay down and slept the entire time.
We're calling that food poisoning now?
Well, they were up till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning just puking their brains out. They puked all morning. They puked all the way till afternoon. The only time they responded was when they said, we're getting in the shower to leave now, because they stayed with my other sister. But so they ended up coming over to my parents' house for Easter, and they just literally went and lay down and fell asleep the whole time, and they weren't even there. I was like, I could have gone to the Precon thing.
But you couldn't have, because they were there. But you could have, realistically.
Yeah, I could.
Well, his family could have had it on Sunday, is his point.
Yeah.
They didn't exactly miss the people who were sleeping.
Yeah, the whole reason why we were there was because they were supposed to be there, and they couldn't. And again, I get it. They got sick, so.
I couldn't be there because I was playing too much Commander at CommandFest. So,
right. But I do
and
have.
I didn't want to drive 3 hours back and then.
I do have some updates from our other compatriots that are in the league. So.
Oh, good.
Both Mike and Dwayne were able to make it. There are 2 other guys we work with that are going there. Clayton, however, was unable to make it also.
Yep.
So the only one out of the 5 of us here that are playing in it that was able to go was Dwayne and Mike. So they both rallied up their points from playing every game. Unfortunately, neither of them were able to bag a win again. So they are just sitting at 6 points total because it's 1 point for playing a game and then 1 point for a win. You don't get any deductions or anything if you lose. With that puts Dwayne and Mike at 6 points. Duncan still holding down second, quote unquote, with 5 points. I got 4th, and Clayton's got 3 points. I got 4 points. Clayton's got 3 points. So I am planning on being there this Saturday. So,
as am I, and perhaps even Jeff.
Perhaps even Jeff. We might have a.
Yeah. Now the other thing I will tell you
I'll
is
give you guys a handicap of a head start.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
A lot of people missed, and I think it was because it was a holiday weekend.
Yeah. Obviously Easter weekend's hard because a lot of people do plans.
I mean, I'm kind of proud of them. Like, there's no way I could have gone Saturday. We were setting up because we did 2 Easters at our house.
Yeah.
We did Easter for my wife's family for lunch, and we did Easter for my whole family for dinner. Or no, it was the other way around.
Gotcha.
My family for lunch, my wife's family for dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
that was a lot.
It was a rough weekend to do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But for sure. But they said there was about half as many people, so we're hoping next week we have.
Well, actually a little over half because we said there was about
Well, we were wrong. We thought there was only 22 people.
And there was actually 26 we found out the first week. And then this week it dropped down to 15.
We're just talking about numbers.
So yeah, which is honestly, in my opinion though, I would still say that's pretty solid. Now there are a couple of guys I think I heard that might be just dropping out completely.
Yeah.
So, but they were there the first week, so hopefully we'll see that number stay consistent around the mid to upper teens. That would be nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will be there this weekend. The two guys, Mike and Dwayne, that were able to go there last weekend, unfortunately may not be able to make it this weekend. And then we got to check in on Clayton and see if he'll be able to make it as well on Saturday. So, but those are the standings right now for our points for the guys here at that are all going to that and playing together. But we'll check in and see. We'll try to remember on Saturday to check the overall standings for the league and see where we're all
who's
sitting.
in the front, maybe too.
Yep.
But so that's that. Let's talk about our deck tech. So this is for Tyler. So Tyler, one of our longtime listeners, went to Tarkir Dragonstorm pre-release, took his pre-release kit home and built something from the commander that he liked the most out of that pre-release kit, which was Zurgo Thunder's Decree. So he just kind of used cards he had. He didn't go seeking out stuff. So he sent us the deck list, and I think we all agreed it was kind of all over the place.
Yeah, there was kind of a couple different themes that felt like smashed together. Now, part of that could have been just because of his availability of cards, so he just kind of put it together with what he had. But yeah, from what I saw a little bit spread out and a little bit of a lot, and I definitely have some honing in that, hopefully between the three of us, we can get you a more fine-tuned deck for you.
And it's easy to fall into some traps. So it's easy to fall into the trap of, okay, we're creating warriors with the mobilize, right? So I have a warrior sub theme. Oh, well, some of these things do damage. Okay, well, now I'm going to move into a burn sub theme. And before you know it, you're supporting warriors, burn, and you're supporting mobilize, and you might be doing some other thing as well, focusing heavily on recursion or something. And those are things where it's very easy to get trapped into those things, and you have to try as best you can to sort of stick to one or two themes at most.
Right.
And I think, Jeff, you're the one who pointed out when we were talking about it. So there was some stuff like a double strike theme kind of going in there. And it's double strike, yes, you're doing more damage, but it's not increasing what you want to do.
Right.
You want to be mobilizing.
Exactly.
Multiple combats would increase that. So if that was a route, that would make sense.
Right.
But the double strike doesn't really help your theme. So just a little bit more damage isn't what you're going for. You want to go for mass quantities of tokens.
Right, because the big thing with mobilize, and I'll read the ability here in a second when we actually start getting into it. But the big thing is you're creating attacking creatures, and those attacking creatures don't have to go away till the end step. So you're going to get the most value out of this deck when you use those creatures as many times as you can before they go away. Now the commander, which we're going to read here in a second, changes that a little bit, but still the idea is I want to utilize these creatures that I'm putting out as much as humanly possible before they have to go away.
Right. So why don't you read the commander?
Yeah.
So they can get a better idea of what.
So Zurgo, Thunder's Decree, red, white, black. Orc Warrior 2/4, Mobilize 2, which means whenever this creature attacks, create 2 tapped and attacking 1/1 red warrior creature tokens. Sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step. Then his second ability is during your end step, warrior tokens you control have, this token can't be sacrificed.
Right. So it's a little confusing to hear, sacrifice them at the end, and then he says, but that don't sacrifice them, but it's because the ability mobilize, that's part of it.
Yeah, the ability mobilize itself, if you were to look at mobilize just on its own, is specifically when this creature attacks, mobilized, whatever the number is, 1, 2, X, 40, then at the end step, all of those creatures are sacrificed. And the sacrifice is important because that is something that is a distinguishing idea between they're just destroyed, right? Because that's going to change some things too that are important for this deck.
Right. I think we all agreed focusing on your point. And the way I worded it is your points should be make tokens, swing, and repeat.
So the way I focused it in was mobilize, attack, buff.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, so kind of the same idea.
The buff is part of the swing, you know.
Yeah. So, and then Jeff, what was kind of, if you had to summarize what you kind of thought of about the commander when you heard it, what would be your summary
that's the same sort of idea. You're gonna exactly what you said, but there are some things you could do which are interesting. On top of that, you do have the ability to sack some of the tokens if you want to create value with things like the altars. But you don't have to do that. But you could do that.
Yeah, that's definitely.
That's a sub theme that would fit. But I mostly went with how do I create creatures and get value out of them from attacking, or even with like Meat Hook Massacre, get value from them sometimes dying.
Right.
Right. So, to get started, Duncan will kind of.
So one thing I wanted to point out. So it's hard sometimes to know what are you supposed to cut when people make these suggestions, right? Mm-hmm. So I kind of generalized it and remove all the creatures that don't have anything to do with mobilize, with the exception of Garnet Bloodfist, Archetype of Aggression, Devilish Valet. If you really feel like you need Sun Titan for recursion, you can keep that or you could cut it.
I would also add to that Alicia who smiles at death. And the main reason why is most of the creatures that you have that have mobilize are 2 or less power. And what she's going to do is whenever she attacks, you may pay white, or black, or white and black, however you can. It's hybrid mana. If you do, return target creature card with 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, tapped and attacking. So,
I mean, you could keep her. My thing is I'd rather have more mobilized than to bring back. Just have another guy that mobilizes.
Yeah, I 100%
Right.
agree.
So, but the big reason why I kept this, I said keep this one, he has over 15 mobilized creatures that are 2 or less power.
Yeah, but what is her trigger on the attack?
Whenever she attacks.
You just get a 2/2 back.
You get to pay white, or black, or white, black in any combination. So 2 mana, white, black, white, black. And if you do, just return a target creature from your graveyard with power 2.
So then the only question is it better to go card draw or to do that? Because the creatures mostly don't cost that much more than 3, though, do they?
They do. A lot of them are between 3 and 4 mana.
So that could be a good one.
And you're getting a 2 back in almost all of, like I said, I counted in the deck currently.
Yeah.
There was about 15 creatures, and most of the ones that we are recommending are also 2 or less power.
And how much does she cost? Like mana-wise?
3.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's a lot better.
You could definitely keep that in there. So I think you made a good argument for that.
Mm-hmm.
You could
so
keep that in there.
That is one that's on the cusp.
It also depends though how many of those 15 you keep and how many you take out for some of the things we're suggesting.
Yeah, and again, a lot of the ones that I was looking at a couple of things when I was going through your deck, Tyler. I was looking at which ones are on theme and then which ones are synergizing well.
Archetype of Aggression is another one you could cut or leave because giving trample to 1/1s isn't real helpful. You know what I mean?
Right.
But if you're buffing them a lot, then you could definitely keep it in.
Especially if you have this with the Cathar's Crusade, which is would be disgusting in this deck.
The other thing I said is remove burn. Like just that you don't need it. That you're not going for burn. There's one thing I'm going to add, which is technically burn, but I'll explain why. Mm-hmm. But the burn theme isn't really something your commander cares about, and I think you can do better leaning into what
unless it's triggered from creating creatures.
Right.
Creatures
now that is one thing I said. I said keep the Molten Gatekeeper and Impact Tremors, and then add. So let's go into what we're adding, right? Because my first ad runs right into this.
Okay.
As well as the Gatekeeper and Impact Tremors, other things you can do that will do the same thing, and you could get a ton of those out, and each token you can start doing 3-4 damage or more. So Warstorm Surge, which is what I'll call a budget buffer, right? It's low cost. It's under $2.
Right.
And that's what I'll call a budget buffer.
Okay.
Warstorm Surge, Perforos, God of the Forge, Agate Instigator, General Crete, the Bolt Bringer, Witty Roastmaster, War Leader's Call, and Mirkwood Bats. All of those will care and deal damage when you start making these tokens.
Just don't add all of them.
Yeah. So
Pick the ones. Some of these cost more than others. Warstorm Surge, Woody Roastmaster, and Mirkwood Bats are all in that budget buffers. They're all under $2.
And I will say Mirkwood Bats specifically too, because again, let's say you don't have your commander out and you're using the mobilize for all your other ones. Mirkwood Bats is going to hit them twice because it does when an artifact a token enters and when it leaves.
Right.
So you're going to hit everybody twice for that one, which that is a huge deal.
All the rest care about creatures, not specifically toast.
Also
dragons.
understand that when you use a creature as the ability, it's much squishier than, say, an enchantment or anything else.
Now, Perforos God of the Forge
is indestructible.
And it's an enchantment creature.
Right.
Right.
So it's not a creature until it hits.
Right. So that's a good one, but I believe it costs more money and it's much more mana.
And
it's a high
Warstorm
mana
Surge
cost.
is an enchantment, and it is expensive. A mana cost. It's 6 mana cost. It is cheap. It's like $1.50-ish.
Yeah.
So Warriors call creatures you control get +1/+1, so it's going to buff your creatures. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, Warriors Call deals 1 damage to each opponent. Again, Mobilize is creating tokens that are entering the battlefield. Ergo, this will trigger for every single time you do Mobilize. This one, CMC-wise, is 1 a red and a white. So it's a little bit quicker to get out. So on the actual CMC pay cost, it's going to be lower than some of the other ones. On the actual, again, money value-wise, it's $12 though, so it's a little bit more of an expensive ad. But this is feeding into 2 of the things you care about. 1, creating creatures that are coming in, Mobilize. 2, buffing those creatures, because those creatures still get this buff because this is a state-based action. So it's just happening all the time.
Right.
So your creatures will always have +1/+1. Doesn't matter if they're coming in. As soon as they hit the field on your side, they get it. So that one is one I would say if you want to be able to do both burn and buff, that's going to be one of the top of the line.
Right. Another one
options.
I would say is really good is Agate Instigator, because that one has squad 2. You pay 2 and you get a copy for every 2 you pay.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think it costs 2 to cast. So
40K set that one came out in?
No, it was from Bloomborough, I believe.
Bloomborough.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so that's another one. I think that if you were going to pick just one, you get more value out of that because you can get multiple and they're all going to see each other, so they're going to trigger. And then, anyway, Jeff, what's your first thing you want to talk about?
There's a really cool new card called Infantry Shield.
Right.
2 and a red, artifact equipment. Equipped creature has Menace and Mobilize X, where X is its power. So a lot of those support creatures we have in there, right? With this, they can be more than that. They can, like, if it happens to be a 6/6 creature, now it's got Mobilize 6, which is nuts. That's definitely what you want to do. And this is low cost and it's fairly cheap to buy. Another one that I think is kind of fun is Divine Visitation. Now, it changes a little bit about what you're doing, but if you get it out, it's quite powerful. It's 3 and 2 white. If one or more creature tokens would be created under your control, that many 4/4 white angel creature tokens with flying and vigilance are created instead. And then if you wanted to, if you happen to have both of those, Infantry Shield and your angels, you can put them together. A really cheap one that goes in a lot of decks is Idol of Oblivion. 2 colorless, artifact, tap, draw a card, activate only if you created a token this turn. Obviously, you're probably creating a token every turn, so it's just easy card draw. It does have another ability on there. I've literally only done this once in my entire time, but it's pay 8, tap, sacrifice this artifact, create a 10/10 colorless, I'll draw as a token.
So another grouping that I did, right, because these are both ramp and card draw, and I know Jeff isn't as much of a fond of as much fond of these as you and I are, Sloan. But big score, unexpected windfall, seize the spoils, and pirates pillage. All of those do similar things. You're gonna discard a card, you're gonna draw 2, you're gonna make treasure tokens, 1 or 2 treasure tokens depending on the card. They all cost about the same. One is 3 mana, I think the others are 4 mana, but you're gonna get both ramp and card draw out of this. And they are all budget buffers. They're all under $2. And in fact, Seize the Spoils and Pirates Pillage are both loose change legends, so they're a quarter or under. Now that may not be their price, but that's what you can actually buy them for. You know, the market price may say higher, but if you actually go look, you can buy them for that price.
Yeah, and a lot of times those kinds of cards, if you go to your local shop and you kind of dig through their bulk bins, a lot of times if you get a couple of them, they'll give them to you for like $1, even if it's technically over $1, because they know it's it's like 10 cents, 15 cents, 20 cents, and you get like 8 of them or 9 of them or whatever, and they're just like, yeah, sure, just give me $1, whatever, I don't care. So yeah, you can definitely get that. Those are good ones. Another one that I thought of when you said that, Deadly Dispute. And the reason why I like that one is it's only 2. It's an instant, and you have to sacrifice a creature or I think a treasure
Artifact.
or something like artifact, a creature or an artifact. But the nice thing is you're creating so many tokens anyways, like sacrificing one of them to create a treasure token and draw a card for 2 mana. So basically it ends up being 1 because you get a treasure back that you can use is a pretty good value. So that's another one I'd maybe throw in for card draw support if you really needed to.
Yep, that's a good one.
So kind of going into the theme here for buffing, I'm going to name a couple of them and kind of just hit a handful of them so we can kind of discuss these all together. So buffing, I have Renewed Solidarity, which is a newer one that came out in the with the zombie decks, whatever that set was, I can't remember. Aether Drift, yeah. So Renewed Solidarity, Anointed Procession, Reconnaissance, Shared Animosity, Kithar's Crusade, Intangible Virtue. These are all ones that are going to buff. So
Anointed Procession does not buff.
Well, the reason why I'm saying it's buffing is because basically what you're doing is you're going to double your value for your tokens. And so you are beefing up your
Here's
entire
the thing, though. It's
board.
a $60 card.
It's like 90 now.
I know that one's more expensive, but I just wanted to mention that one's going to be more of token creation buffing.
So hold on, because that one is... I just want to point out, I have that one on here. I have them separate. They all do the same thing.
Yeah.
But they're big dollar amounts. So I kept them separate because we were mostly trying to keep more budget. So I have Anointed Procession, Ojurtak, Deepest Foundation, and Mondrak, Glory Dominus in the same grouping.
Right.
Because they're all going to double your tokens, but they're also all pricey.
One of those triples it.
Yes. the god does.
The Glory Dominus triples it. But I'm just saying, they're all going to give you multiples of your tokens, but they're also all very pricey.
Yeah, so those are more expensive. But what those are going to do is it's going to essentially double and triple your value from your mobilized.
No, if you can afford that,
even just one of them.
Oh, mama.
Is worth it.
Well, but there's cheaper options, guys, to do the exact same thing. Like if we're going to talk about doing Anointed Possession, I'd really encourage people instead to do Caretaker's Talent. And do I have another one on here that's cheaper?
So while you're looking that up, Renewed Solidarity.
Caretaker's Talent. It's only like $16. It does the same thing for you.
You're right.
So Renewed Solidarity, and this one, the reason why I like this one.
Yeah, that's a very good card.
Because it's going to very specifically.
You want the card?
I got it right here. It's going to do something very specific, and again, as long as you're sticking with like the warrior theme. You have to name a creature type when it enters, so warrior. Creatures you control of the chosen type gets +1/+0. So there's your buff. All your warriors are going to get +1/+0, not just your tokens. So any of your creatures are warriors also. But then at the beginning of your end step, for each token you control of the chosen type that entered this turn, create a token that's a copy of it. This is a less than $10 card. This is showing approximately $8 is the value of this card.
Right.
So for $8, you're going to get a token doubler that also buffs all your warriors. So it's a very good...
Yeah, that's a great one because it does 2 things.
It does 2 things.
So if you're going to spend a little bit of money,
right,
you can have that do 2 things rather than spend a ton of money to do one of those things.
And Caretaker's Talent also does that if you upgrade.
Except the problem with Caretaker's Talent, if I'm not mistaken, is that it does it once per turn.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the drawback there. But yeah, it is a more budget-friendly way to do it. Both of those would cost you less than even one of the other cards.
Yeah. I have another buff one, but then it takes us into a different category.
So the rest of these buffs, so Shared Animosity, Cathar's Crusade, and Intangible Virtue, all 3 of these are literally just beefing up your actual creatures themselves. Shared Animosity, for each creature attacking that shares a creature type with a creature you control, it gets +1/+0 to end of turn. You're attacking with 10 warriors, all your other warriors get +9/+0 to end of turn.
That's really good.
I think it's like less than $1 card too. It's not a very expensive card. So that one, comes in under $1.
Definitely a budget buffer.
The Cathar's Crusade, and whenever a creature enters the battlefield, creatures you control get a +1/+1 counter. Again, you create 10 creatures, they all see that. They're going to all get the counters as they come in.
The other thing about that is, again, it's under $2.
Yeah. Yeah, Cathars Crusade's not expensive. It used to be more expensive.
Yeah, it used to be expensive. It is now affordable.
And I think the reason why is because there's so many people.
Well, they printed it.
Printing it so many times because of all the token themed. Last year they did a lot of token themed stuff, and I think it was reprinted a couple times last year. Intangible Virtue specifically is for token creatures, but it gives all your token creatures +1/+1 in vigilance.
And that one is actually a loose change legend. That one's actually, you can get that a quarter or under.
Yep. And so that one I like a lot because with your commander out, all of those are going to stick around. So the next time they go to attack, you'll also have them as defenders.
Yeah, it is tough though that it's only given +1/+1 on one card, but you have a lot of options there.
All token.
I know, but they're just a 2/2 at that.
And then the last one that's kind
of cheeky. But it also gives them vigilance.
Yeah, it gives them vigilance.
But that won't matter if they're dead.
So again, the last one that's cheeky, which this one is kind of a sneaky one I thought of, Reconnaissance. So this is a 1-drop.
Oh yeah.
You pay 0. Remove target creature from combat, remove damage from it, it deals no damage, untap it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it costs 1 white to cast it.
It costs 1 white to cast, and it costs 0 to activate the ability, and you can do it at instant speed.
I don't know if you have the cost there on that, but I think that one is super cheap.
Too, this one went down because they reprinted it recently.
Several times.
Yeah, and so luckily that pulled it down because it used to be a very expensive card, but because of all the reprints, including, I know last year for a fact because I got it out of the... Assassin's Creed. It was where they reprinted. That's where I got mine. I got 2 of it. It's approximately $4 is what it's saying.
So not bad. Not a budget buffer, but it's still not bad.
Yeah, it's still not bad. So that one's kind of cool because that will save your stuff to keep it around.
Jeff, you said you had a buff one.
Yeah, so this moves us into our second category too on its second part. But the first part it's called All Out Assault. 2 red, white, black enchantment. Creatures you control get +1/+1 and have Death Touch. Now the really cool thing about Death Touch is a lot of people do not want to block a 1/1 with Death Touch. So they're just going to let it through.
Right.
So it's kind of like evasion. And then the second part of this reads, when this enchantment enters, if it's your main phase, there is an additional combat phase after this phase, followed by an additional main phase. When you next attack this turn, untap each creature you control. So that's essentially giving vigilance and extra attacks, which is very good. And that rolls us into our other extra attack card, which there are more than this, but aggravated assault is a really good one to put in.
Right. So with extra attacks, I also have overpowering attack, port raiser, and relentless assault. Those are all 3 cards that give you extra attack. Overpowering attack is actually cool. It came out in the assassin set, and it specifically says if you dealt damage with an assassin or your commander this turn, you can pay its free running costs instead. So it makes it go from a 4 cost it makes it go from a 5 cost down to a 3 cost.
Which is great for extra turns.
Right, and what it does is it literally gives you an extra combat after this combat phase. Port Raiser is whenever he deals damage to a creature, untap your creatures. There's another combat phase. Port Raiser can't attack a creature that player it already attacked this turn. So that's a way to potentially get multiple combat phases in one turn. And then Relentless Assault also, as you pay for it, it gives you an extra combat.
Yeah.
So those are all 3, again, with the idea of I'm going to utilize these tokens that are supposed to go away. Because, again, if you're focusing on the mobilize, you're going to take advantage of the fact, even though your commander's not out and they don't get to stick around, you're still going to take advantage of the fact that they're there. So you get to keep hitting with them over and over and over.
One of the cool things you can do with this, if you play those altars, where you can sacrifice your creatures, with aggravated assault, you will essentially continue to attack.
Yeah, so aggravated assault because of the paying ability.
Yeah, because if you create 5 creatures and then you sack them to your altar to create 5, just make red mana, whatever, now you could pay to untap and attack again. So you just keep doing it.
Yeah,
so it could be a very fun combo there. But it's a hard one to put together, so it's not cheaty or anything. Like, you have to have the altar, you have to have the things that would mobilize, and you have to have aggravated assault. So
right.
If you pull it off, good for you.
Yeah, but that is definitely probably, I would say, in regards to all of these extra attack ones, that one's the one that you're going to be able to do most consistently because it is an enchantment that sits, so you can keep paying into it. So that's why that one's I think a little bit more overall monetary value-wise because of the fact that it is an enchantment and it's something that's reusable constantly.
Well, All Out Assault seems to be able to do that too, and it's a newer card, so it's kind of fun to put. I'd put it in there and try.
But All Out Assault only does it the turn it comes out.
When this enchantment enters, yeah.
Right, so
but
it does
after
it one
that, you're
time.
getting +1/+1 and Death Touch.
Right, which is, again, like Jeff was saying, that is something speaking from someone who has a Death Touch theme deck that might also have a poison counter sub-theme. Yes, people do not like blocking their 1/1s with Death Touch with their giant 10/10 creatures.
Yeah.
They don't like it.
No,
And
they
then
don't
do
like
we
it.
want to go into some other cards? Because I have a couple cards here that are just kind of neat. They sort of fit into other things,
So-
but they're fun.
Yeah, I mean, we can jump to.
Well,
Did you have
okay.
any more?
Yeah,
attack?
no, I have. Well,
Well,
I
I
have
mean-
a lot of stuff.
You don't
Go
know.
ahead.
Go ahead. For
So,
attack.
Aurelia, the Law Above.
Okay.
This one is legendary creature angel, costs 3, a red and a white. It is a 4/4 flying vigilant haste. All right, that's pretty good on its own. But whenever a player attacks with 3 or more creatures, you draw a card. Any player, not just you, but you're probably gonna be doing that.
Right, that's a good draw engine.
Whenever a player attacks with 5 or more creatures, and again, any player, not just you, Aurelia, the Law Above, deals 3 damage to each of your opponents, and you gain 3 life. So this is card draw. This is it's going to deter people from wanting to attack you with a lot of things.
Yeah, and
Or
attack with a lot of
anybody,
creatures. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
They want to keep it probably under 3 or at least under 5 for sure.
Yeah.
But it's going to benefit you when you do it. You know.
Right.
And then kind of another one that kind of does the same thing. Firemain Commando, 3 and a white for a 4/4 Angel Soldier, flying. Whenever you attack with 2 or more creatures, draw a card.
Yeah.
And whenever another player attacks with 2 or more creatures, they draw a card if none of those creatures attack you. Again, deterring them from attacking you. This one I don't like as much because it does give them a card, but at least they're
Right.
not attacking you, and you get a card when you do.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you can incentivize people not to attack you, especially if you're a super aggro deck and hypothetically you don't have any way to keep your guys untapped, let's say reconnaissance isn't out or you don't have, something giving them vigilance, it's always nice to have something to encourage people not to attack you, which you do have Ghostly Prison in there. Absolutely keep that. If you are swinging out constantly, whatever you can do to keep people from swinging at you, do it. So leave the Ghostly Prism in there for sure. Something like this one that he just mentioned, which gives them a benefit for not attacking you, they can, that's one that you can do also. So those are ones that are definitely pluses, because if your theme is I'm swinging out, then you need to have something that's saying don't swing at me. So,
Duncan, do you have any more over there?
I have more, but go ahead and do your next one.
So I just have 2 that are kind of fun. Ink Shield is kind of fun. I don't get to play this card enough. 3 white, black, instant. Prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to you this turn. For each 1 damage prevented this way, create a 2/1 white and black Inkling creature token with flying. What's going to happen is you're going to be swinging out at everyone. Someone's going to build up a thing, and they're going to we got to take you out. You're going to sit back with 5 mana, hope they don't notice, and then you're going to Ink Shield, and it's amazing.
Yeah, Ink Shield is fun. It's definitely a cool one. There's another one that it doesn't give you Inklings. It does damage back to them equal to the amount of damage you would have taken.
Oh, well, Deflecting Palm is white and red, and it does that, right?
Yeah.
There's
So
that one,
would
but there's a
work.
white and black one that does the same thing, and it says if you paid both white and black for this, instead of preventing that damage is dealt back to its controller. And so that's another cheeky way to kill somebody that's trying to swing out at you.
And then my last card, which I thought was fun, was 3 and a black. It's called Within Range enchantment. When this enchantment enters, create 2 1/1 red warrior creatures. So it is a warrior, which is kind of nice. Whenever you attack, each opponent loses life equal to the number of creatures attacking them.
Yeah, that's a great
It's
one.
very easy to kill someone that way.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's definitely a good, and that's a enchantment, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's going to be one that the advantage of enchantments, there's not a whole lot of enchantment removal a lot of people build. Usually it's kind of board wipe stuff. So if someone doesn't have targeted removal and they have to do like a destroy all non-land permanents kind of board wipe, they're going to hurt themselves too. Granted, it might hurt you a lot, but you're also forcing them to hurt themselves.
Also, I think everybody knows what card must be in this deck. Jeff's #1 card to suggest in this deck.
Yeah, Teferi's Protection.
Teferi's Protection.
Yeah.
He anything in white, he's gonna recommend that card.
Yeah.
100%.
Now again, it is very good in this deck because that is another thing that's going to keep you alive for another round
And
at the
protect your
table.
stuff.
Protect your stuff because again, phasing out does not force tokens to die.
Nope.
Right.
So all your tokens would come back. So you still have that advantage of having all that
what is
stuff.
it? Clever concealment would also
Yeah.
work, I believe. So there are some protection stuff you should play in this.
Yeah.
So
Do you have another grouping of stuff you want?
Yeah, I have another grouping, but so since we're talking about protection, what I will
Sure.
say is, because of how vital your commander can be, I would definitely recommend the Swiftfoot boots, the Lightning Greaves.
He has lightning greaves in there.
Not from what I saw.
He has Swiftfoot. He has one of them.
No, he doesn't have either of them. When I
Can you pull
looked.
it up?
Yeah, I got it right here. When I looked, the only enchantments that he had
Yeah, it's an artifact. It's not
was
in that area.
Yeah, it is because I changed it. I changed it to artifacts, so that it would be here. He has Commander Sphere, Fire Shrieker, Lava Spur boots, and Soul Ring. Now I don't know if you did Lava Spur boots to stick it in my eye and say I'm not putting Swiftfoot boots in here. I don't know if you're one of those people who voted against me when we talked about iconic cards, but I would definitely put the Swiftfoot and Lightning Greaves. Swiftfoot. At least one of them, if not both of them, in here because protecting your commander is very important, but there's also a lot of other good creatures you have in here that you want to keep around to get.
Or you want to be able to attack right away.
Attack right away with because there's so many good things you can do.
You got to mobilize 3 out. You want to go now.
Yeah, exactly. So I would definitely recommend putting those in. The Fire Shrieker, if I had to recommend one of these for sure to remove, that one would be it.
Yeah, because it's double strike. It's not really doing what you want.
The boots are good, the ones you have in here, the Lava Spur, because they do give haste. They
And
give
Ward
1.
Ward 1
Which is nice. And it gives
one,
plus
though.
1/+0.
Yeah.
So it buffs your
gets
creature
cut.
a little bit.
You should cut that.
So
I mean, if you have room for it, keep it. But I think you're gonna have
you're
plenty of
gonna.
good stuff.
But yeah, I would definitely say in regards to protection, that's what you should do. So my last category here is actually the mobilized category itself. So we kind of touched on it at the beginning, but we didn't go in depth with some of the things. So the first one, which was one that we all kind of saw, this is from the new set, and this one is just gross in a mobilized deck. I mean, this is going to be Bone Karen Butcher. Mobilize 2, 4/4, 1 red, white, black. Attacking tokens you control have Death Touch. So again, right on theme, another way to give your guys Death Touch to kind of prevent people from wanting to block them. It's just really, really good in this deck. The other nice thing is this is not a legendary. So one of the other cards you have in there, which is one I was going to suggest, but you already have it, which is the Mardu Siegebreaker, goes great with him because he actually goes great with a lot of creatures, but he specifically says Death Touch Haste 4/4, 1 red, white, black, human warrior creature. When Death Touch Haste, when this creature enters, exile up to one other target creature you control until this creature leaves the battlefield. Whenever this creature attacks, for each opponent, create a tap token that's a copy of the exiled card attacking the opponent. At the beginning of your end step, sacrifice those tokens. So that would allow you to have three of these guys coming in, or 3 of any of the other cards you exile with Mardu Siegebreaker coming in, and potentially triggering their abilities or buffing up your creatures or whatever. So that is a cool combo. But yeah, Bone Karen Butcher is definitely really good. And another new one that I have recently fallen in love with, Avenger of the Fallen. Mobilize X equals the number of creatures in your graveyard. It's a 2, I think a 2-drop or a 3-drop.
That's a late game winner. That's
yeah. If it's towards the end of the game, you got 10, 12 cards in your graveyard, 10, 12 creature cards in your graveyard. Great. I'm going to swing with Avenger of the Fallen. I'm going to mobilize 12.
Yep.
Like, that is gross.
Yep.
Especially if you have any of the other buff cards that we talked about before out, you're going to get some beefy boys out there. So those are 2 that are specifically mobilized. Do you have any other mobilized ones that you wanted to
No
hit
mobilized, but I did want to point out a buff that you didn't mention, Mirror Entity. Mirror Entity, you pay X, and that's your creature's base power and toughness.
Yeah.
Again, another
And it's a changeling.
finisher.
So it is a warrior also.
And it's a budget buffer. It's under $2. So it's just good all around.
Yeah, that's a great one. There's some other ones here that I'm going to mention that are mobilize adjacent. So they're mobilizing, but not because they have mobilized, but because they buff the mobilize ability. So for example, Shronic Resonator. Mobilize is a triggered ability.
So here, I did think about that. Here's the thing though.
2 though.
You pay 2 and tap it. You're only going to copy one of your creatures.
Avenger of the Fallen.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything mobilize 3 with your commander. Again, that's 3 more bodies for 2 mana. I will take that, and they're not going to go away.
you could do Lithoform Engine too. You could put those in if you want to.
But the reason why I picked this one is this one's budget friendly. Shronic Resonator is
Yeah, if you're
more
going to play it
cost affordable.
instead of a Caretaker's Talent or Anointed Procession or things like that, then it's worth doing.
It's very budget friendly.
Yeah.
Is why I like it.
For that. But it is much weaker.
Zurgo Storm Render. So this is the one that was the actual commander for this Precon. If you bought the actual Precon itself, the commander Precon, he does mobilize also, but his secondary ability is based off of the creatures dying at the end of your turn. You get to whenever a creature token you control leaves the battlefield, draw a card if it was attacking. Otherwise, each opponent loses 1 life. So even if they just leave and they weren't attacking at all, each of your opponents are going to lose 1 life for each one that's happening to. So he's a great sub-commander to have in the deck. He's still one that benefits highly off of Mobilize. He's going to draw you cards. He's going to create Mobilize 1. And if they're not attacking and your tokens die, so for example, if you're blocking, you're going to force all your opponents to lose life for each one that dies when you block with them. So he does a lot of things that I like, and I think he's important. And then the other one that I think is really cool, which we all mentioned, is Ishin, 2 Heavens.
Now this
as
one is huge.
This one's gross.
Because you're
Might be
doubling
the best
all
card
of your
in the
attack
deck.
triggers.
Yes. So this one specifically, the reason why this one is, I would probably say this is going to be your golden boy. This is the one that if you had to pick one card to buy and add to this deck, I would maybe say it's probably this one. And the reason why is his ability says, if a creature attacking causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time.
So that's way better than Strionic Resonator.
It's 100% way better than Shronic Resonator.
And how much does a card cost?
This is a $6 card.
It's not too bad. You could probably get it for 4.
Yeah, it's not too bad. If you go to your local card shop, you might be able to, if you find one that's a little more beat up, you might be able to get it for a little less, or even online.
Well, no, because you're looking at EDH rec. They're typically a little more expensive than you can buy on TCG.
Yeah, this is usually the average cost from across all the sites.
Right.
So that's why sometimes it's a little higher, sometimes it's a little lower than it should be, but it's pretty close to what the average should be. So, but this guy's 1 red, 1 white, 1 black, 3/4 human samurai. He is a legendary creature, so no copying him to get this ability a bunch of times, unless you can do it non-legendary.
Helm of the Host.
Yeah, but I mean, this guy is just silly in this deck. Mobilize is an attack trigger. So you can do the Mobilize, you can then have this guy trigger, and he doesn't have to attack.
And it's for all of them. You have 3 guys with Mobilize. They all unlike Strionic Resonator.
Right, all 3 of them are going to double.
Yep.
Or any other ability your attacking creatures have.
I do think you're correct. Of all the cards we've mentioned, this one is going to have the biggest impact on your deck.
This is going to set it to another level, especially if you focus in on the Mobilize
now,
theme.
we're going to provide this deck to everybody so they can take a look at more of the details, correct?
Yeah, we'll have the deck link in the comments so you can see for yourself.
One of the things I want to say is you guys may be watching this, you may think, well, we're suggesting a lot of cards in this deck. Like a lot of times you're thinking of when you're helping someone removing maybe 10 cards and replacing them for 10 other cards. I mean, even with each other helping each other, sometimes as many as 20. This is probably significantly larger than that. What I want to say is that is not unusual. It's easy for any player to just be using the cards they have, or maybe to get drawn into different ideas. All that's okay. That's why you ask for help, so that people can help reel you back in. And hopefully some of these cards are going to reel us into a more focused strategy in this deck.
Right, and
which
the
is
other
what
thing
we're
is,
looking for.
Some of these cards, like Warstorm Surge, cost more mana-wise, but it's a budget buffer. So maybe you're going to pick that one over Agate Instigator, where you're going to get more iterations of it, or Mirkwood Bats, where it's really leaning into the token thing.
Yeah.
Even Mirkwood Bats, though, is a budget buffer. But I'm just saying you may be choosing something for budget reasons. That's why we're giving multiple options. And just kind of in summary, just a couple cards I think you guys missed. Eldrazi Monument, really good in a deck like
bad.
this. You sacrifice a creature every turn, but you're getting indestructible, flying, haste, and everything else.
Right,
so,
yeah.
There's a couple, just 2 more cards I want to mention, because these were ones TCG player recommended when I was looking up other cards, and I'm like, why does nobody play these more? So one is Mob Justice. Now this is the 1 burn spell I was talking about.
Okay.
1 and a red for a sorcery. Mob Justice deals 1 damage to target player for each creature you control. Sometimes you're at that end game. You have 12, 13, 14 creatures.
Yeah.
You have 2 guys within reach. You can't hit them both.
Right. You can hit one of them.
Hit one of them with this. You swing at the other.
Right. That's a great one. I like that one.
Yeah. And then Battle Hymn. This one's for ramp. 1 and a red instant. Add a red mana to your mana pool for each creature you control.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely a great one with Aggravated Assault that we talked about.
Yeah, it's going to be
earlier.
Late game ramp because it's not going to help you get to your cards.
No,
once
but
you
it's
have your
gonna
cards,
it's gonna
it'll
help you
get over
finish the
top.
game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Two final ones that I'll mention real quick. Skull Clamp is a great one for this deck. Your warriors are 1/1s. It's a great way to get free draw before they sacrifice if your commander's not out. It's easy way to do it. The other one, which is kind of cheeky that I didn't see a lot of people talking about, is the Jolly Balloon Man. So you pay. He has haste. He's a 1/4/1 red-white legendary creature, human clown. Sorry if you're scared of clowns. He has haste. He has pay 1, tap him. Create a token that's a copy of another target creature you control, except it's a 1/1 red balloon creature, and it has flying and haste. Sacrifice at the beginning of your next end step. Activate only as a sorcery. So
Now, if you're copying a warrior and you got your commander out, you're not sacking that.
Exactly. That's my point.
Yeah.
So with him out, there's a lot of benefits from a lot of the other things. If you copy a creature with Mobilize, you're going to get another Mobilize trigger. If it's non-legendary, you're going to have 2 versions of it. Again, just any one of the Mobilize creatures we talked about, it would be beneficial for this. If your commander's out, because he's also a warrior, he is not going to sacrifice at the end of turn. So you're slowly going to be building up these creatures that are 1/1 flying balloons with haste that are going to keep adding to your engine. And so that's a kind of cool one that just I feel like slipped underneath the radar. Again, sub $1. Average cost 70 cents.
Just make a decision on what cards you're going to go with and look at their interactions. Because now that you have this many choices, you may choose certain cards that now become less effective. So just put them all out, see which ones interact, make sure you make your choices well on that. But I think for the rest of it, people can go back to the post that we're going to do on here for what the rest of the deck says, yeah?
Yeah, and again, we gave a lot of cards, like we mentioned. We're not saying all of these cards need to be added.
No,
like
you're
Jeff
going to
said
make your
earlier,
own decision.
You're going to make your own decision.
And you may be like, you know what, you said to cut X card. I really like X card, and I want to lean into that. You do you.
Yeah,
This
like
is just
the
our
Zurgo that is not actually that great in the deck, but you just want all the Zurgos. Good, go for it. I did that with my Atraxa deck. I have the Atraxas in there just because I think it's fun.
Yeah. So again, these are not hard set. You need to put these in your deck.
The other thing I would say that we did not go over: add more rocks, add more mana rocks.
Yeah.
This is not green, so you're not going to get natural ramp out of this.
I think we actually need to do a segment on how to do catch-up ramp, because I actually think doing a catch-up ramp package in this would be really, really powerful.
Yep, ketchup and ranch. Yeah, this sounds delicious.
Yeah.
I mean, don't listen to Jeff. He puts ketchup on ham sandwiches. So.
Yeah. Clearly, he's just wrong.
Yeah, these are.
But I do think you're going to need more rocks to really make this churn. At least 3 or 4 more of the 2 mana value or 3 mana value.
Yeah, I mean, again, the big thing is.
Arcane Signet wasn't in this original list, but again, he's using what he had. Probably didn't have an extra one.
Yeah, I mean, I do see you have a Commander Sphere in there, which I like that one because the main reason why is you can tap it for mana, and then you can still sacrifice it to draw a card if you want to later, even if it's tapped. Yeah, and it fixes your mana because it's any color. But yeah, I would, if you can, definitely have some rocks in there. Even if you don't have the ones that tap for mana, maybe trying to get the ones that reduce colored spells by 1 is also.
Those are more expensive.
They are more expensive
but
sometimes.
if you happen to have them.
Yeah, if you happen to have them,
But I would say the 2 mana talismans and signets
also,
and
the 3 mana stuff that does your attacking deck. So some of the 3 mana artifacts do other things that will help you in your deck. So they're not as fast of ramp, but they offer you other benefits other than ramp. Focus on those.
Yeah, I think there's a banner one.
We've talked about them before.
There's one that's something of the banner.
Patchwork banner.
No, Herald of the Banner.
I don't know.
Gives choose a color, creatures of that color get +1/+0, tap it for the color chosen. So you can make it like red, and I think it's either a 2 or 3 drop rock, and then all your warriors are red. So that come in, and then they all get +1/+0.
But yeah, more rocks I do think is something that we didn't mention, but it is a basic thing I would do to make the deck run better.
Yeah.
But other than that, take or leave our suggestions. But we got a lot out there. Pick what you like out of it. We kind of tried to highlight the ones that are more budget friendly and point out the ones that are going to hurt more budget wise.
Right.
But if you can afford those big budget ones, go for it.
Yeah.
But do you got any pro tips this week?
Yeah, not this week, just because I was so focused on this, I didn't really think of one.
This one.
And we're running long, so that's probably good.
Yeah.
The pro tip is try to take what we say as constructive criticism, and then we would also love to see what you do with the updates.
Yep.
If you could send that back to us and see what you
Tyler,
changed.
send it back to us. And
Tyler, we do this to each other. Like there's been tons of times we've given each other decks and we're like, dude, you're going the wrong direction.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mostly Jeff. But anyway, so that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining us. If you want to follow us, you can always find us on youtube.com/commanderspod. You can hear us on all your favorite streaming apparatus, Audible, Spotify, YouTube Music, Apple, whatever. You can find us everywhere. You can email us, cast@commanderspod.com, if you want to reach out, have a question, have a suggestion, have your own deck you want us to look at. Patreon.com/commanderspod if you want to help us do what we do and help us keep putting more into it, and so we can give more to you guys. And just really thanks for everything, and we'll see you next week.
Commander's Pod, where the stories unfold, the heroes and villains, new and old. Duncan, Jeff, and Flo guide the way in the world of EDH we play. Tune in, friends, we'll fun and go. The Commander's Pod, the love will show. From our decks to yours, we're set apart in the world of magic. We'll leave a mark.